Joining me now is Maryland's Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen. Senator Van Hollen, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Kristen, good to be with you.
I want to start off by reading a post that we just got from President Trump. He posted this on his Truth Social account. I'm just reading this in real time along with you. He says, quote, "I have been briefed on the deadly shooting at the ICE facility office in Dallas, Texas. It has now been revealed that the deranged shooter wrote anti-ICE on his shell casings. This is despicable. The brave men and women of ICE are just trying to do their jobs and remove the worst of the worst criminals," he says, "out of our country, but they are facing an unprecedented increase in threats, violence, and attacks by deranged radical leftists." Senator, he goes on to say, and this is another quote, "I'm calling on all Democrats to stop this rhetoric against ICE and America's law enforcement right now." Your response to the president and the vice president's reaction to this?
Well, Kristen, we now have another awful example of political violence in America, and we should all unite to condemn political violence, regardless of the source, and not try to exploit this for political purposes, not engage in finger pointing. And unfortunately, what we see from the vice president and now the president is what we saw after the terrible tragedy of Charlie Kirk's assassination, which is rather than unite the country in opposition to political violence or violence of any kind, they decide to engage in finger pointing for political purposes. That does not accomplish the goal of reducing political violence. It's an attempt to take these tragedies and silence legitimate criticisms of the actions of the Trump administration.
And your gut reaction, Senator, when you learned about yet another deadly shooting in our country?
Yeah, it was awful. I mean, I saw this when it was breaking earlier this morning. My heart goes out to the family who lost a loved one, those who have injuries. My thanks to law enforcement and all the public safety officials. This is a moment where we need to allow our judicial system to work and not exploit this tragedy for political purposes. And it's very troubling to see the vice president and the president doing that in this instance, as they did in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk shooting, where they then decided to go after Jimmy Kimmel, where they've tried to use the power of the government to suppress dissent or anybody else they disagree with, which is a clear violation of the First Amendment. So everybody should understand that political violence is unacceptable. It's also unacceptable for the president, the vice president, to try to exploit these terrible tragedies for political purposes.
And Senator, you bring up Jimmy Kimmel. I know that you and a group of Democratic senators are actually demanding answers from Nexstar and Sinclair about their refusal to air Jimmy Kimmel. What recourse can you actually take, if any? What power do you have to impact the decisions that these stations are making?
Well, people, of course, can vote with their pocketbooks. I mean, one of the reasons ABC reversed itself was it appeared that people were withdrawing some of their subscriptions to Disney Plus and other things. So I think that most Americans agree with the simple premise that you don't have to agree with the speaker, but you support their right to engage in, First Amendment expression. And what we're seeing from these companies is essentially caving into the FCC because they have things that they want out of the FCC. So shame on the FCC for trying to use its power to punish speech. That's flat out illegal. But these other companies should not be capitulating, because that only, feeds the illegality that we're witnessing.
Let me ask you about your bill. You and your Democratic colleagues introduced the No Political Enemies Act. aimed at protecting Americans from politically motivated attacks, from persecution from the government. Tell me what specifically this act does, given that the First Amendment already protects free speech. What gap is this filling?
Very fair question. This is a bill I introduced with Senator Murphy and others. It does two things. One is it creates more deterrence against government officials abusing their powers to crack down on dissent. So, for example, greater penalties for those who are found to be trying to silence dissent through illegal means by using the powers of the government to silence people. And on the other side, it helps those who are the targets of attempts to silence speech with more tools to defend themselves. So, for example, when you have a case, they would be able to get attorney's fees, so they wouldn't face those costs that you normally would face. They'd be able to pick up the costs of getting the information about the political targeting that they were subjected to. So it does two things. It provides more defenses and tools for those who are the targets of these political prosecutions, and it also does create more deterrence against bringing them.
Well, we'll track that very closely on Capitol Hill. I have to ask you before I let you go, Senator, about government funding. We are less than a week away from the deadline. Will you continue to oppose the House pass, the Republican CR, even if that does in fact lead to a government shutdown?
Well, Kristen, as you saw, the President of the United States, who calls himself the great negotiator, walked away from a negotiation. And what he said is that, you know, Democrats in Congress should act like Republicans in Congress and essentially give him a blank check. I, for one, will not give this lawless president a blank check to continue to engage in illegal withholding of funds. We also want to defuse this ticking time bomb on Americans' health care that will go off at the end of this year, where millions will lose access to health care. Tens of millions will see big spikes in their premiums and costs as they're also facing other rising costs. So I'm not going to give a lawless president a blank check. And unfortunately, after saying he would sit down and talk about these things, he's decided he wants to let that, you know, ticking time bomb go off on people's health care, and he wants to continue to illegally withhold funds. So this is the president's decision. He's taking us toward a shutdown.
So just to be very clear, Senator, given that there are no talks scheduled, are you bracing for a shutdown? Do you think that's where the country's headed right now at this point?
I think when Donald Trump decided not to have the talks that he previously said he welcomed, yes, he is taking us right toward a government shutdown.
All right. Senator Chris Van Hollen, thank you so much for joining us on yet another tragic day for the nation. We really appreciate it. Appreciate your perspective.
Thank you.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.